Hello everyone, welcome back to Very Cold Lasagna. I'm, of course, your host, DylanLasagna, bringing you all the filthy casual takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports. And it's almost time for the 49ers Week 3 Sunday night matchup against the Denver Broncos. Yes, that is right. The 49ers get that early primetime matchup on the road against a struggling, somewhat Denver team that's supposed to be primed to be in a playoff position in the AFC, but again, struggling. Right now, they're just struggling to find their groove. So, this game for the 49ers is kind of a big one, and it's just like with the first 2 weeks. And why do I say that? Well, they have a new quarterback under center, and his name is James Richard Garoppolo. You might have heard the name before. Yeah. James Richard Garoppolo, yes, Jimmy G, is back with the 49ers. He is back under center with that offensive line, with this talented core of receivers. He is back, manning the helm, leading the charge, not just for one game, not just for 2 games, not just for 3 games. No, for 16 more games of the 2018, no, not 2018. Where am I going? Four years back? The 2022 regular season. My God. Are we living back in 2018 now? Jeez Louise. But anyway, let's talk about this week 3 matchup. So, of course, the 49ers won their week 2 matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, but they lost the ultimate price. They paid it dearly. Trey Lance, their starter for the season, their future quarterback, he got injured in the first quarter. He had a quarterback draw. He ran, but he got tackled by 2 linebackers, and he suffered a season-ending broken ankle. Oh, that hurts. It sucked. Absolutely terrible. He's gone for the season. So in came back in Jimmy Garoppolo, who did pretty decent. He got a couple good throws in, but for the most part, he was just working on his handoff game. Let me give you the ball, Debo. Let me give you the ball, Jeff Wilson. He was pretty much doing that for the whole game, and he was just working on being the master of the quarterback sneak. So, but for the most part, aside from that, you get a good defensive performance from the defense. Talanoa Hufanga did pretty well. Fred Warner did good. Nick Bosa was damn good. Traverse Ward, pretty much the entire defense was pretty good on that Sunday against an inferior Seattle team. They beat them 27-7. But again, they paid the price for by losing Trey Lance. Meanwhile, for the Denver Broncos, they had that fearsome defense, especially in that pass rush of Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory. They're coming to form. That offense, led by Russell Wilson, is still really struggling, especially in the red zone. Russell Wilson is still acting like he has PTSD. He still has trauma from that Super Bowl against the Patriots. He's really that afraid to throw at the goal line or throw in the end zone. Damn, dude. It's been 2 weeks, and you can't get it in the end zone. And Nathaniel Hackett, I don't know what he's doing. He also had a very poor day against the Houston Texans with poor game planning, poor clock management. He got called for delay of game multiple times, and he wasted so many timeouts to avoid them too. So all in all for Denver, sure, they beat the Houston Texans 16-9, but they technically had to come back from that game. Because they were doing so poorly. They were doing so poorly in that game. It took 1 touchdown. I mean, all it took from Russell Wilson to his tight end, Eric Saubert. But damn, to be in that position in the first place was ugh. Just ugh. So, for the 49ers in this game, I mean, the key thing is, staying healthy, I guess. Avoiding the pass rush. But, of course, Trey Lance, it's just a killer. For Denver, being consistent, trying to get out of this growing pain, it's just a killer too. So Going into this injury report for the 49ers and the Broncos, starting with the Niners, obviously you don't have Trey Lance anymore for the rest of the season. You also don't have, this was under the radar because all the Trey Lance news overshadowed everything. You don't have your running back Tyron Davis-Price for a couple weeks. He suffered a high ankle sprain. You also don't have backup tight end Tyron Croft, who suffered a sprained MCL. So I'm not sure where at what point they suffered those injuries during that week 2 game against Seattle, but both are expected to miss a few weeks. So you're not going to have those depth pieces, especially in the running back room. Offensive lineman Daniel Brunskill hasn't practiced at all still, so he has been ruled out of this game. Eric Armstead, he may miss this game, but he's just ruled questionable to play because he showed up on the injury report late in the week with a foot injury, and he hasn't practiced literally at all. So make of it what you will. But the good news for the 49ers is, on the offensive side, is that George Kittle, the tight end, will be making his season debut after missing the first 2 games with the groin injury. So that's good. That's good news for the 49ers. At least Jimmy G gets his favorite weapon back, aside from Deebo Samuel. So that's good for the 49ers on offense. For the Denver Broncos, they may not have Jerry Jeudy. It's 50-50 that he could play as he's dealing with the rib and shoulder injury that he suffered from the week 2 game. So who knows? He got in a limited practice on Friday, but it remains questionable that he plays. Corner Pat Surtain also left with the injury, a shoulder injury specifically from that week 2 game against the Texans. But it seems like he may give it a go after he got a full practice in on Friday, despite the questionable tag. The only actual player that got ruled out as of right now is cornerback Darius Phillips, who hasn't practiced at all this week with a hamstring injury. So that's your injury report. Some of the top stories of the week for both teams. The Niners promoted Marlon Mack, who was on the practice squad, to the active roster. So they get some depth. He's going to be behind Jeff Wilson, Jordan Mason. So you get some depth there. Let's see if we can, rise in the ranks a little bit, but we'll see. They also get quarterback Kurt Benkert to the practice squad. Yeah, a veteran present because, Trey Lance is on IR now. So just in case Jimmy G gets hurt and now you got to put in Brock Purdy, you need another backup to elevate from the practice squad. So, worst case scenario, I guess. Meanwhile, for Denver, Nathaniel Hackett addressed the struggles he's been having, both as a head coach and, and on the offense. He's going to continue to call plays. Let's see how that works. But he's also going to be looking towards fixing some of the mistakes as he's been making. So, good that he's been admitting that he's been making those mistakes, but let's see him execute on that. So, for some players to watch for the 49ers, obviously, for the 3rd straight week, it's the running game. Now that Tyron Davis-Price is out for a few weeks, let's see who's going to be that number 2 behind Jeff Wilson Jr. I still believe that Jordan Mason has a good opportunity to fill in that number 2, maybe even go up the ranks once Elijah Mitchell and Tyron Davis-Price come back. Marlon Mack has a decent chance to make some noise as well, but we'll see. Tight end George Kittle, obviously coming back from the groin injury, making his season debut. But how are they gonna phase him in after missing the first 2 games of the season? So we'll see. But hopefully makes a good impact in this game. Safety Talanoa Hufanga, obviously he's been a big difference maker, stepping in up big for this Niners defense in the absence of Jimmy Ward. So gotta continue that here against Denver. And of course, Jimmy Garoppolo. You gotta do something other than your handoff game. You gotta throw the ball more. I think he addressed it in his press conference, I'm not sure when, that he's looking to throw the ball more, zip it more downfield. So, hey, at least he's willing to admit that. So that's good. For the Denver Broncos, obviously Russell Wilson, he doesn't look like the same quarterback as before. with age, of course, that happened. But he looks like he plays a little bit more scared than before because he doesn't take more chances. He doesn't take some risks, and when he does take some risks, it's a little overthrown. So look for Russell Wilson to try be a little more aggressive. I don't know. The Niners got to take advantage of the fact that they're disorganized right now on offense. So, but look for Russell Wilson to also find a way to be the Russ of old. Run around outside of the pocket, try to make those stupid ass crazy plays happen like he did in years past. Receivers Courtland Sutton, and if he plays, Jerry Jeudy. Courtland Sutton has been Russell Wilson's favorite receiver to go to, and before he got hurt, Jerry Jeudy has also been a good 1B in that offense. So they have to keep an eye on those two players. Safety Kareem Jackson. They haven't notched any turnovers yet in that secondary, but Kareem Jackson is still a big playmaker in that secondary group, disrupting the receiving game. He also forced a few fumbles despite not recovering them, but he's a difference maker in that group. And of course, the pass rush of Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb, and the rising X factor in Draymond Jones. For Draymond Jones, he's been leading the group in sacks. He got 2 sacks in that Texans game. But that trio together is very dangerous, especially with a stingy of an offensive line that the 49ers have. So that offensive line for the 49ers has to do very well. They have to protect Jimmy Garoppolo as well as they can against that trio. So going into our keys of victory for the 49ers, if the offensive line really can't protect Jimmy G, well, Jimmy G has to get the ball out quick. I mean, he has a good zip on the ball. He has a good release on the ball. He can get the ball out quick. He still has to do it against that pass rush, because if that offensive line breaks down, you just got to get the ball out as quick as he can to avoid the sack. And I would like for him to get out of the pocket more to avoid that pass rush of Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb, and Draymond Jones. I would like to see Drake Jackson get a little bit more involved. Sure, he had some pressure last week on Geno Smith, but I'd like to see him get more involved on the edge opposite Nick Bosa. So it ramps up the pressure on Russell Wilson to crowd him in the pocket. I would also like to see more aggression in the red zone. Stop limiting yourself to runs with Deebo Samuel, runs with Jeff Wilson Jr., quarterback sneaks with Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's see some passing plays on first and second down. Stop waiting for third down or taking a chance on fourth down to do it. For the Denver Broncos, better everything from head coach Nathaniel Hackett. Better play calling, better organization, better clock management. It's he's kind of like me under pressure. Nervous, like a wreck. Not sure what to do. So, he has to come in prepared for this Sunday night game against the 49ers. And for the defense, you got to complete the turnover process. Like I said, they're a very good defensive unit, but so far they haven't been able to complete the execution of the turnovers they make. So, for example, they've made 5 fumbles happen, but they only been able to recover 1. So, what I'd like to see them not to say that I would like to see them create fumbles on the 49ers because, you're saying, but if you want to make a turnover happen, you got to complete it. You got to complete that play to happen. So, if they're gonna make turnovers happen, they got to complete it. And last but not least, stop acting scared in the red zone. Stop playing wussy in the red zone. There's a reason why you're 0 for 6 in the red zone. Because, it's like Russell Wilson's acting scared. He's having, like I said, visions, demons, from that Super Bowl. And Nathaniel Hackett, for whatever reason, keeps having him throw at the goal line like it's hero ball, and it's not even late in the game. You have Javonte Williams. You have Melvin Gordon. 2 good running backs that you can use on first and second down. And yet, for the first 2 games, on first and second down, you're having Russell Wilson throw to his receivers. Use your running backs. What are you doing? What is Nathaniel Hackett doing? Like, Russell Wilson doesn't need to play hero like in those early downs. Or not even at all yet. Use your players accordingly. Like, my goodness. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this upcoming game for the 49ers as they go to the Mile High to take on the Broncos on Sunday Night Football in prime time. Who do I think will win? I mean, I'm not sure. It can go either way. I mean, I still believe that the Niners could possibly upset the Broncos, even though the Niners are technically favored to beat the Broncos. But hey, I don't believe it. I think they can upset them. You know, the Broncos have a really good defense. They have the better quarterback than Jimmy G. But the Niners have a stronger defense and a good receiving core. It's just the quarterback and Jimmy G will define how they win this, if and how they win this game. So we'll see what happens on this Sunday night game. But what's very important for the 49ers in this game is, of course, how Jimmy G does. Can he have a turnover-free performance? Can he put together a good game? Can Kyle Shanahan get the best out of Jimmy G without having to rely so damn much on the run game? We'll see. We will see. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this upcoming Week 3 game for the 49ers against the Denver Broncos. Let me know your thoughts on this game. And, of course, early next week or whenever next week, we'll come back to recap this game. So that's it for this preview. I am DylanLasagna, signing out a very cold lasagna. And keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports. And until next time, peace out.